And then we'll come back to our gathering and offering up from the beginning of class. So push down into the knees, slowly roll up, make a big circle with your arms, and then lift the hands overhead. You can go 3/4 just so you can see me better. We're going to do a few of these. So send the hips back like a kneeling chair pose. Inhale, circle the arms forward, gathering the energy, and then exhale, squeeze the inner thighs together. Notice how that just sends the whole body upward, and let that energy travel all the way up to your highest self. Take a few on your own. Inhale for the big circle, folding forward, and then exhale, initiate the movement with the squeeze, and notice how the movement just travels effortlessly all the way up the spine. If your knees are sensitive, now is a great time to grab a blanket. Even if your knees aren't sensitive, it's a kind thing to do for your body. And then take a couple more. And because we've gone through this movement a few times, see if you can start to let go of any control and just feel the flow of the movement, like your body is a school of fish and all the individual fish are traveling in the same direction so effortlessly. And the next time you come all the way up to kneeling, pause there. You can keep breathing, but try to connect to that feeling of space and lightness on both the in breath and the out breath. And release the arms down. Grab a sip of water if you'd like. Go to the second track if you're following along with the music. All right. So you can stay this 3/4 way so that it's easier to see me if that works best for you. Let us begin in tabletop. And take a moment just pawing out the mat. If you've got sensitive wrists, you can come to forearms. That's totally fine here, so it's up to you. We're just waking up the shoulders a little bit. Feel free to adjust where the knees are and bring some awareness to your spine. Everybody looks really good. We're just finding a neutral spine, so sometimes we're in an extra arch. See if you can find that length instead. And then we'll all lower to forearms. This actually helps engage the core a little bit more. Start to glide the right leg back and take a few pulses here. Just like our other movements, keep the rest of the body totally still and notice the amount of stability that it requires to move the right leg without jutting the left hip out over to the left. The next time the leg lifts, keep the pelvis still and start to circle the leg. Again, it's gonna feel limited, especially if you're used to being very mobile. Start to notice any sense of warmth on that left hip. So that's the one that's not moving, right? Well, that might feel like a surprise. And then kick the right leg off to the side, setting up for Parigasana. And before we go anywhere, just send the hips forward and back, starting to feel into that right leg. If you feel it a lot at the joint, so namely the right knee, push down a little extra with the right foot, even heel toe it in a little bit. We really don't want to be stretching at the joint. It can also help to use the exhale, dragging the foot in, just like we've been practicing, uniting it to the left leg and the pelvic floor. And then come onto the hands. Use your next exhale to squeeze the foot towards the knee, and we'll gather the energy like we've been practicing, and then squeeze everything together to rise all the way up. And we'll sync that with the breath now. So the inhale sends you forward, big circle, and then the exhale, squeeze foot and knee together, and let that send the impulse all the way up the spine, making it as effortless as possible. It doesn't matter how far you go forward or up. Ease is the name of the game, and there's so much hidden strength in that quality of ease. The next time you circle forward, it's up to you if you're on hands or forearms. Start to glide the right foot off to the side so it's going further away from the knee, and then use your exhale to drag it back in, almost like zipping up a zipper. Do that a few times. You don't need to go super far to let the foot go out, but try to feel that exhale sensation as you drag the foot back in. And see how far up the spine you can feel that connection. At first it might be at the hip socket, but eventually you might feel it all the way up the spine as the leg drags back in. The next time the leg drags back in, use that energy to travel all the way up into Parigasana, and it might feel like a lot less open than you're used to and a lot more upwardly spacious. That's what we want. Keep that strength and make some little circles. The legs aren't really going to move much here. We really want to use that sense of the pelvic floor connecting the legs to help us find more freedom in the spine. And then just for fun, heel toe the foot forward so you're in a 90-90 lunge. Anchor the big toe. We're going to be doing some balancing later, so I want you to wake up the feet to anchor the big toe. Let the knee start to point towards the pinky side of the foot. That's going to turn on the glute a little bit. Take a couple of lunges, just bending just a little bit. And then we'll do that squeezing together to lengthen the spine and reach up. Take a couple of breaths here. And then bring the right leg in, and either toes tucked under, which can be intense, so it's not for everyone, or toes flat. Come to kneeling just to absorb that sequence on the first side. And let all your focus be on your breath. So we'll start from kneeling, gathering the energy with an inhale, and then exhale, squeeze inner thighs together and let everything open up. Take two more on your own as effortlessly as possible. Trying to feel the unity and fluidity of your movement. And then the next time you're up, you can take a couple of breaths, just feeling that ever so gentle hugging in of the thighs, that lifting of the pelvic floor. And then release the hands down to tabletop. Option for forearms, that's fine. And then start to slide the left leg back. And take a couple of pulses, lifting the left foot up. Try to avoid rocking the pelvis forward as you do this. Let it all come from the strength of the glute lifting the leg. The next time the leg lifts, keep the pelvis stable as you start to circle the knee. I'm going to turn because I think that might be a better view. And then circle the other way and let go of any impulse to want to make as big of circles as possible. Instead, try to feel how the left leg integrates into the core, integrates into the right leg. And then kick the left leg off to the side in that Parigasana setup and start to rock forward and back. Lower to the forearms if you need to. Look at the left foot. Try to bring the outer edge of the foot, so that pinky side of the foot, down to the mat, and see if there's that sweet little lift of the arch. It's not dramatic. It's just like a little tiny cave opening. And then drag the foot in so there's that strength to lift the spine, circle the arms forward and up. And take a couple of those, circling forward and then dragging the foot in as you exhale. See if you can feel this movement rise up one vertebra at a time. And the next time the hands come down, release them all the way and let the left foot start to slide off to the side. As you exhale, squeeze the inner thighs together and let the spine lengthen. Do this a few times on your own, and each repetition, see if you can feel that connection to a higher vertebra. So the movement travels far beyond the base of the pelvis. The next time the leg is sliding in, use that energy to come all the way up and just notice how much strength and lift you have when we shift the perspective away from stretching. Use that strength to start to circle just the upper body. And you're not going to go very far, right? Because the legs and hips aren't moving. Sometimes we feel like we're really mobile, and that's happening because we're actually overcompensating in areas that we don't actually want to move. So this type of movement instead keeps us really honest and strengthens the areas that don't get a lot of love either otherwise. And then start to heel toe the foot in front of you. Anchor the left big toe this time. Let the knee drift wide, keeping the big toe down. So it's almost like a tug of war between the toe anchoring and the knee opening, and that's going to fire up the glute. Take a couple of little lunges there. You can move the foot around, wake the ankle up, and then start to feel that sense of dragging the foot in towards the back knee, and notice if that can help you lift and lengthen. And take a couple of breaths in that nice elongated Anjaneyasana. If you're feeling it a lot in one leg, see if you can disperse the work so you feel both legs working evenly, united by the fabric of the pelvic floor. And then bring the foot in, and toes tucked or flat. We'll just take a moment to absorb before we travel to standing. And let everything go. And just connect to the breath. See if you can feel it down to the diaphragm, and then all the way down to the pelvic diaphragm, which is another word for the muscle group we've been talking about.